What is up? Today is July the 5th, y'all. We made it past 4th of July. I hope many of you enjoyed and celebrated your freedoms, your food, your families. And good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the live. There's some things I wanted to clarify today, so bear with me. Hopefully, I'm not losing my voice. But Phoenix will be dropping some fireballs today, and I hope you all are ready for it. Things look different because they are different. And one of the things that I want to talk about today is the freaking gaslighters that are out there in regards to this court hearing process. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to review that. And then I'm going to have this is going to be a 30-minute live. This isn't going to take that long. But then I'm going to have a separate live. So I hope you'll stick around. That'll last for about 45 minutes to an hour. I am not trying to spend all day trying to share with you the information that is so important to this case. And then I'll go into the 3 reasons why Bryan Kohberger pled guilty. Do I know for sure? I know one thing for sure. The other 2 are merely speculation based on experience. So I am Phoenix. Welcome in, grab a chair, sit down, let's chat. This is a place where you can safely vent, share your frustrations, tell everyone how you feel, and most of all, logically think about what we're seeing in our daily lives. So I'm going to bring up this audio and video, and I want to share with you so that you understand that there are people out there that will try to gaslight us in regards to the state versus Bryan Kohberger hearing. I mean, tell me where you guys are tuning in from. And then I want to get into a first audience question, right? I usually ask a question, but tell me where you are watching from. And we'll go through the formalities to let this go out there to let everyone know that I am live. Make sure you like and subscribe so you do get those notifications when I am going live. So let's do this. Michigan in the house. Yes. Hey, you from Pennsylvania. California. Whoop, whoop. Florida. Texas. I used to live there. Love it. Netherlands. We've got some out-of-towners, out-of-countryers. Jackson, Tennessee. Welcome in the house. Nashville. Beautiful. Beautiful. You only hear every 4th word, probably because my voice is cutting in and out. Yes, last night we were yelling and screaming the fireworks and it was loud. So hopefully you all can hear me very well. Drop a 1 if you can hear me fine. If not, I will adjust my audio. Let's see what's wrong. Let me just... Nope, it says I'm fine. Do I need to turn up the volume? I can do that too. All right, so you can hear me just fine. And yes, Marissa, I believe I received your message. And Spokane, Washington, welcome in. Australia, Wales, whoop, Michigan. All right. So who likes that little intro? I don't have any music yet. Try not to be real fancy. I'm keeping it really simple and really plain. So I want to share my screen and I want to go over real quick what was going down with the gaslighting on the streets of TikTok. Well, I'm going to show you. If you all remember my live the other day in regards to the hearing with Bryan Kohberger, hopefully you'll be able to see that. Let me remove it. So I had a live on the day they had a hearing for Brian Koberger in Boise, Idaho. And it's wild. It's so wild because, well, let me play it. And hopefully, I think you should be able to hear this. Hold on one second. Let me see if this will work. Now, drop a 1 if you can hear this, okay? I want to be able to know that you...
Life imprisonment, which is a requirement of a sentence, that it be a life sentence with a mandatory minimum sentence of at least 10 years on each of those counts. In addition, you would be potentially responsible for a fine of up to $5,000 to each of the victims of your crime, to be enforced in the form of a civil judgment, to operate as additional punishment. This is in excess of any restitution or fines that the court could order. And again, you may be required to pay restitution to the victims of the crime. You would be required to provide, as to counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression, and potentially pay for analysis of those samples. You would lose any right to possess, purchase, or carry a firearm, the right to serve on jury duty, the right to hold public office, and the right to vote. Do you understand the charges and all those possible consequences? Yes.
I want to pause it right there. Now, you heard the judge basically just say, if you were found innocent, if you were found innocent. If Koberger told me he was paid to do this, would you believe yes or no? That is a fantastic question. I'm stumped. I don't know what I would say, honestly. It's a good theory. I never thought about him being bribed. That's what Junior Girl 22 says. Someone else says 100%. You have a good point. But let me tell you, that could be an interesting theory to go down. But, I mean, I think enough speculation has been done in this case. I think enough media damage on his character and who he is has been done. I think the state of Idaho has been found out what they've done to this man. And I'll get into that in my next segment, that I'm going to close this one out and start a new one so that these videos can be watched quickly. But let's go on to hear Judge Hippler and see what he says next. Now, I want to preface this. There were two stages at this hearing, that if you did not watch the live hearing in person, you would not know that there was two stages. One stage was questioning, and the judge read the questioning questions to Mr. Koberger, and he answered yes to all of them. And then there was a second stage of pleadings that the judge went through. And the pleadings are the ones that are more important than the questions that he answered. The pleadings are the ones that he says, guilty. How do you plead? He pled guilty to all of it, except for the wording was different. And you'll find out why. So let's listen to Judge Hippler finish this. First stage was questioning. He looks weak and frail, guys. And remember, this was a live. This is a recording of my live where I was commenting live.
You've heard the plea agreement that I talked about today. Do you agree with that plea agreement? Yes. And do you understand the nature of the charges that are that you've been charged with, that I understand you're going to plead guilty today to.
Yes.
Something's up.
As as I indicated, I'm not bound by the plea agreement, but the plea agreement is for the maximum on each count. Do you understand that I'm not bound by the plea agreement?
Correct.
Yes.
Has anyone promised you that I would be lenient or easy on you if you pled guilty?
No.
Has anyone threatened you or anyone close to you to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Is anyone other than the state's agreements with respect to the plea agreement, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea agreement?
No.
Has anyone told you to be untruthful in answering my questions today?
No.
He had a
Has
pause.
anyone offered you a reward of any kind other than the plea agreement in order to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Are you
Now, does anyone think he looks like a robot? Anyone? Someone said something. I never caught one of your lives. Welcome to my lives. I just stopped this video for a second to check on the comments. I read that Wick said, the marshals don't fake deaths, you just disappear. People, your neighbors, will think you moved. Abso-freaking-lutely. Why did they chance to prove he was guilty? They folded. Bill T admitted they had no proof. But the defense signed this BS. A threat was definitely made. I'll get into that in my next live after I finish this one out. But I want to talk about these court proceedings because there was videos that were edited. There were videos that were gaslighting individuals. And this is a live recording with my own commentary because I was live on the YT. I was live on the TikTok. And I was doing commentary. So you hear my words watching a live video. Okay. So let's finish watching this. There was 2 phases.
pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Hesitation.
And counsel, obviously there have been a number of motions filed to suppress evidence in this case. Other than those filed, are there any other motions that you felt were available with?
Why does a judge that has been sitting on the bench and holds court for, and I've said this in the beginning, folks, you guys don't get this. And for those of you who do, thank you so much for sticking with me on the streets of TikTok. You know, I have about 33,000 followers over there, and I've came to YouTube as an alternative because of the hate that many were giving us in this case. Now, if you don't know the background of Judge Hippler, do a quick Google search. Judge Hippler, I know because I lived in Idaho. I'm a former Idahoan. Judge Hippler is assigned to mental health courts. That means he is one of the very few that does mental health courts. Did you know within our court systems, there are judges that are trained in mental health to determine on a judicial bench, such as Judge Hippler, that they see mental health cases all the time. There are even, if you didn't know it, there's military court, there's judge court, vet court, if you're a veteran. If you go into a case and you're a veteran, you will get assigned to a judge that handles veterans. I know we all have our opinion of Judge Hippler, but until that third-party evaluation was done, and what was that third-party evaluation, and what was the motion to take the DP off the table? This is why. I'll get into it in my next live, but let's finish these hearings so you understand why I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do in my next live. And I've only got a few minutes, so let's go.
Respect to Rule 12.
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Kohlberg, you understand that by entering the guilty plea in this case, you would be giving up your right to appeal any decision this court made,
This court,
as
not
well as
federal.
your sentence.
Yes.
Something's up, you guys. This is wild. All eyes are on Steve G., the deputy.
Have you had enough time to decide whether or not to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Given your choices, do you believe it's in your best interest to plead guilty?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you discussed fully the matter of pleading guilty with your attorney, and are you satisfied with the advice you've received?
Yes.
Has your attorney advised you to your satisfaction about what your rights are, what your defenses may be, and what the possible consequences to you of your guilty plea are?
Yes.
Has your attorney done everything you've asked them to do?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with their representation of you?
Yes.
I have received a written guilty plea advisory
How is this even
questionnaire
possible?
that is purported to be filled out by you. Did you fill that document out?
Yes.
Did you understand the questions that you answered in this document?
Yes.
And are the answers that are outlined in this document your answers?
Yes.
Are those answers truthful?
Yes.
Did you sign the document?
Yes.
What is going on?
And this document outlines many of the rights that you have in this case. Should you not plead guilty, did you understand those rights?
Yes.
They include a right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to the presumption of innocence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to require the state to prove your guilt as to each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to confront your accusers and cross-examine witnesses presented by the state, including by utilizing the subpoena power of the court to accomplish that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You understand you would have a privilege against self-incrimination and a right to remain silent, meaning you would not be compelled to testify if you did not wish to, had you not pled guilty.
Yes.
You understand you're giving up that privilege and those rights that I've just outlined by pleading guilty.
Yes.
How do you plead guilty?
All right, I want you to understand what the state would have had to have proven at trial had you, to the crimes that you're pleading guilty to, had you
Thompson's
if you
shaking,
if you
guys.
didn't plead guilty. Let me find the document. Hang on a second here. All right.
What is going on?
So as to count one burglary, the state would have to have proven that on or about November 13, 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, you unlawfully entered a residence located at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. As to count two, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died. As to count three, the state would have had to have proven that on that same date in Latah County, at that same address, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. As to count four, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. And then as to count five, also murder in the first degree, that on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing him, from which he died. Do you understand those things the state would have had to have proven?
Jeez.
Yes.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, the state no longer has to
Prove
prove
that.
those things because you're admitting those things are true.
Yes.
Jeez. Did he do this, guys? What do you think on the TikTok, on the YT? Did he do this?
I want to also make.
I don't believe
for
the judge
record,
believes him.
The defendant has provided with the guilty plea advisory form a document entitled Written Factual Basis that purports to have the defendant's signature dated 1 July 2025. Did you sign that document?
Yesterday.
And did you agree with the written factual basis that is included there?
Yes.
Um,
Steve can't sit
And then
still.
let me ask you, did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you honor about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Now I'm going to stop it right there. Those little gaslighters on TikTok, shame on you. This was the questioning phase where Judge Hippler stated for all four individuals they were human beings. Now I am going to fast forward this to the gaslighters so they can't gaslight anyone anymore or manipulate the information that was streamed live. And this is the pleading phase, which I'm going to jump through a little bit so you could hear the plead phase. And this is after Thompson states whatever he wants to state.
Following that, the defendant in his Elantra.
We'll go through this later because I've got some
Both his
commentary
office.
on that 100%,
There is a
especially
factual
when Bill
basis.
cries.
Therefore, with respect to count one, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohlberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Now, this is the actual phase where Koberger admits guilt to all four. However, I want you to listen very closely when it comes to two things. And I'm going to share in my next live why he did this. I believe the first one is very simple. The second two, you'll have to hear me out. So let's finish watching the plead and take note, you little gaslighters, that the judge does not call Madison Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves human beings. And there's a reason for this. The second thing I want to point out is Judge Hippler. Just listen to his wording. The normal person will catch this.
As to count two, murder in the first degree as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count three, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count four, the first degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count five, the first degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
When did he have time to do the cleanup?
We'll find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and each offense and the possible consequences to him of his guilty plea.
Now remember, there was expert testimony coming in about the cleanup. And that's why I said, when did he have time to do the cleanup? And I'm going to get back to the comments. If you noticed, honestly, if you noticed, the judge did not specify during the questioning of guilty plea stage. He did not say human being for Maddie and Kaylee. That is a legal term in the court of law, on your birth certificate, on your driver's license, that signifies legally you are living. You are a living entity on and in our planet. And if you're in the United States, you're a citizen. But did anyone else catch? Because I sure caught it. I didn't give a lot of commentary during the live. I could have given a lot, but I didn't want to muddy the recording because on TikTok, you could not see the recording. So they were only hearing the audio. I want to go through these questions, but I'm going to give you a little fireball right now, guys. I look for these things in the court of law. I am no legal expert. I am no expert at anything, but I have a lot of life experience, which makes me really think about why the wording was the way it was. This is no conspiracy. I am no conspiracy theorist. I look at the facts and I'll just tell you the way I see it. Pretty darn honest about it. The first thing I'm going to tell you is, did anyone recognize how Judge Hippler changed his wording? Yes, folks, he changed his wording not only on the human being part, he changed his wording on the Latah County part, and he changed his wording on the Moscow part. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch the live hearing and ask yourself, why did he do this? Why? And why did Brian not get tripped up? Why did Brian go along with this? The average person that is innocent, at the least, would never plead guilty, but only for one thing. And folks, what do you think that one thing is? It's glaring us in the face. I'll go through some of these comments and then I'll tell you. Because you guys are some smart individuals in here. I'm so thankful. So thankful. Joey says 100% innocent. Miss Q, at the beginning of the hearings, Hippler said Mr. Koberger is present, but not this day did the defendant is here. Did he say? Right. The notification of hearing titles lowercase, not uppercase. No, he didn't. He didn't say it for the last two. Correct. Did you notice how BK looked over at the state every time his team was asked a question? Like he takes advice from the state. That was very noticeable. I don't know enough to know if he was involved. BK may be covering for someone. AT told the judge her client was innocent. Bingo, smiling sleuth. You are amazing. Defense attorneys don't lie. They are under oath. They have a judicial oath. They take the oath of being an attorney and they will not lie for their client. If her client kept claiming his innocence, she had to do all she could for him. And this is one of the reasons why. There's no way he did this, Miss Q. I agree. Innocent, and they all know this. Cynthia, they all know this. They do. They do. I might believe it if his admission of guilt wasn't by terms of an agreement. Maybe he witnessed, he saw something, or was a part of something. How could this happen? It happens all the time, guys. It happens all the time. Innocent people plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. But how many times has Ann got up there and said, Your Honor, my client is innocent? Hippler blocked every defense. Yep, he did. the Franks hearing, the admissible perps, the DNA. Why would he suddenly care? Because they got caught. Thompson got caught. Got caught. And this is why. I know this might be hard to see, but I'll read it for you. Let me grab my glasses so that I am not a bumbling idiot also. I did a video. On November 13, 2022, law enforcement responded to the 911 call and found Madison, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan deceased. Law enforcement later found a K-bar knife sheath placed, not there was a struggle and it dropped, placed next to Mrs. Mogan on her bed. Someone left it on the bed. The sheath was placed, not it fell, not that there was a struggle and it landed. It was placed button side down and partially under Mrs. Mogan and the comforter. On November 20th, 2022, the state of Idaho police lab in Meridian, Idaho, located the DNA on the button of the sheath and performed STR analysis that led nowhere when ran through CODIS. Combined DNA index system. That's basically if you've been convicted of a crime, your DNA will be in there. Then other to show the provider was male. By December 17, 2022, I have to take this Thomas off the stage. The lab analysis were aware of 2 additional male DNAs within the house where the deceased were located, and another male, unknown, DNA on a glove found outside the residence November 2022. 7 technically days after the unalivings. 8 days later. But yet the second pass through, they did find the knife sheath under the comforter. How could they find it under the comforter if they've already removed her body? To this date, the defense is unaware of what sort of testing, if any, was conducted on these samples other than STR DNA profiles. Furthermore, these were 3 separate and distinct male DNA profiles. They were not identified through CODIS, so they had no prior convictions. These are 3 brand new perps out there on the streets running around that they have no idea who they are. Leading to the conclusion, dun, 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 this is the big one, folks, that the profiles do not belong to Mr. Kohberger. Remember, because they went and got his trash and they tested and they found genetic genealogy and they said that that was his DNA on the sheath, which it probably was, and the defense was not denying it. But did you know that somebody at the frat house also worked at a pawn shop? They're not going to tell you that. Do you know somebody in the frat could have gotten it from a pawn shop, guys? There's so many possibilities here. So many possibilities. And why did they blame it on Kohberger? Why did he plead guilty? I'm going to end my live here. Ask yourself these questions. Jump into my next live that I'm going to start because I want to break it up. I don't want my videos to be too long, and I appreciate every single one of you. And if you don't know how passionate I am about this, you're going to find out in my next live. I'll meet you in a few minutes. Stay here. But if you gotta go, I understand. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Oh, sorry. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Be well.